For 8.3, we are going to be going back and revisiting those body measurements that you all took way before track out. So each person is going to get one of these little slips of paper that has all of our data on it. So on this slip of paper, we have height in centimeters compared with arm span in centimeters. So this person had a height of 141 centimeters and their arm span was 159 centimeters, okay? So this is everybody's data who was here that day. So what you're gonna be doing with this data is you're gonna be answering numbers 1 through 4. So starting with number 1, sometimes a person's arm span is the same as their height. Is this true for anyone in the class? So you're gonna look at your table, write yes or no. That's all you have to say. Number 2, you are gonna make a scatter plot for the arm span and height data and describe any association. Association, I'm talking linear, nonlinear, and I'm talking positive, negative. My suggestion would be to go on both axes from 140 to 180. It just seems like that's gonna be able to hold all of our data. You can count by whatever you want to count by, but keep in mind these numbers are kind of all over the place. So I would count by as small of units as possible, maybe not 1s or 2s, but small enough that you can really see the patterns in the data. After you have graphed your scatter plot, then you're going to answer number 3, is the line y equals x a good fit for the data? Keep in mind the slope of this line is 1. So does a slope of 1 make sense here? If it does, explain why it makes sense. If it doesn't, find the equation of a line that fits the data better. And then number 4, examine the scatter plot. Which person in your class has the largest ratio between their arm span and their height? Explain or show your reasoning. This is going to take us a while. I'm going to say let's do 10 minutes with our groups to start with. Pause the video. Afterwards, play the video so you can hear all of the answers, okay? All right, so I cheated a little bit and I used a computer program to plot my points just so it would be nicer and easier for you all to see. So here is my scatter plot. This is height, and this is arm span. Let's see, my first question, sometimes a person's height or arm span is the same as their height. Is this true for anybody? It is true for one person. Whoever is 177 centimeters tall also has an arm span of 177. So number 1, you should have gotten yes. Number 2, describe any association. So I would say that this association is positive because it seems like in general as height increases, arm span increases. If I were to draw a line through this, wanting half of my data on top and about half of my data on the bottom, my line would probably look something like this, okay? So it might look like that, maybe a little bit lower, but it definitely has a positive association. Number 3, is the line y equals x a good fit for the data? So does this data look like it has a slope of 1? I say no. If it had a slope of 1, it would be more like this. My data is not really, my data is not really like that. So I would say that a slope of 1 does not make sense for this data. And then last question, which person in your class has the largest ratio between their arm span and height span? Explain or show your reasoning. So there were a couple here that stood out to me. This person, whoever had a height of 141 and an arm span of 159, that's a pretty big difference. Also, there was a person who had, let's see, a height of 170 and an arm span of 150. That's a pretty big ratio as well. So either one of those would have worked. 170 and 150 looks like they're right about here. Okay? All right, so let's stop there, and we'll do the lesson summary next.